Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to look at website optimization in a completely different way. I want you to picture your website's architecture kind of like the plumbing in a house. Right now, running behind the walls of your site, you have this incredibly valuable flow of link equity. But if your architecture isn't totally sound, that equity is literally leaking out. It's pooling up in the wrong places, and it's completely failing to reach the specific rooms or pages that actually need it. So, you know that feeling when you're wondering why your absolute best content just isn't ranking? You spend hours writing it, you pour resources into the research, the design, the whole shebang, and yet it's just sitting there, completely invisible on page 3 or 4 of the search results. Look, if you know you're doing everything right with the content itself, that heavily hints at a hidden, foundational problem beneath the surface. And here's the real kicker. It's because your link equity is pooling in the wrong places. The authority you desperately need is actually already right there on your website, but it's trapped. Fixing these existing structural issues is often wildly more effective and honestly way faster than constantly grinding to build new external links. You don't always need to pump more water into the system, you know? Sometimes you really just need to fix the pipes. Here's our highly structured roadmap for tearing down and rebuilding a site's architecture today. We'll start with the hidden architecture problem, then fixing internal linking leaks, solving pagination content issues, connecting siloed content architecture, cleaning up URL structures, and we'll wrap up with the authority payoff. Okay, part 1, the hidden architecture problem. Moving right along to part 2, fixing internal linking leaks. Let's look at our very first leak, internal linking. And honestly, the most exciting part about what we're covering today is the timeline. We're talking about fixes that take hours to execute, not months, and they require absolutely zero new external links. It's all about maximizing what you already own. Think of every single internal link on your website as a literal transfer of authority. It distributes power from your high authority pages straight to the pages that desperately need ranking support. But when this is done poorly or just without a real strategy, that equity just pools on low priority pages. Right now, I'd bet your contact page, your terms of service, and your privacy policy are hoarding a massive chunk of your site's authority, simply because they're linked in your main navigation or your footer. Okay, let's dive into this and unpack the common root causes. First up, global navigation menus that link to everything evenly. This means your homepage authority gets totally diluted across dozens of links instead of being directed where it actually matters. Second, you've got blog posts linking back to the homepage in their text instead of pointing to your crucial service pages. Third, you see this pattern where brand new content never links back to older, high-priority pages. And finally, those footer links overweighting low-priority legal pages on literally every single page of your site. So how do we actually fix it? Well, the source material lays out a super clear blueprint for this. Step 1. Run a full crawl using Screaming Frog and export the all-in links report just to see where your equity is currently flowing. Step 2. Isolate 10 priority pages that are currently underlinked. These are your money pages. Step 3. Find 5 to 10 existing, highly relevant pages that can act as sources. And Step 4. Go into those source pages and add contextual body text links pointing straight to your targets. If you do this, you can genuinely see ranking results in a matter of weeks. It's that powerful. Now, notice the comparison here. A contextual link placed naturally inside a paragraph of body text sends significantly stronger topical signals to Google than dozens of navigational links stuffed in a footer. Why? Because the surrounding text gives Google the exact context it needs to understand what the target page is really about. So always prioritize body links. Always. Part 3, solving pagination content issues. Pagination is one of those sneaky issues that silently splits your authority across hundreds of incredibly thin, low-value pages. Handled incorrectly, it creates a massive structural mess. Here are the usual culprits. You might have non-differentiating title tags. That means page 2 and page 3 have the exact same title as page 1. You might be completely missing canonical tags on those deeper pages, which leaves their authority orphaned. Or maybe you're using one of those infinite scroll features that loads dynamically, but it doesn't actually give search engine bots proper crawlable URLs. All of this just completely drains your crawl budget and creates huge duplicate content issues. But wait, before you rush off to fix this, there's a really crucial pro tip to note. The most common overcorrection people make here is deciding to just no-index every paginated page by default. Do not do this blindly. Seriously. E-commerce category pages on page 2 or 3 actually often rank for long-tail queries and drive real, tangible traffic. Always check your URLs in a tool like Ahrefs or SEMrush first, just to make sure you aren't about to kill off pages that are genuinely pulling in visitors. Moving to part 4, connecting siloed content architecture. This brings us to what happens when your related content lives in completely isolated buckets. I love this quote from the source material. Topical authority is built through content clusters, not individual pages. Google isn't just looking for a bunch of random chronologically published articles, it's actively looking for coordinated topical signals. If you have 50 disconnected articles on a single topic, it just looks like random noise to a search engine. But if they're tightly linked together, now it looks like coordinated authoritative expertise. So here's the actual practical checklist to build that coordinated signal. We call this the hub and spoke blueprint. First, you link every supporting spoke page back to your main pillar page. Then, you cross-link those related spoke pages to each other so they form a tight web. And finally, you go back to your main pillar page and make sure it links out to all of its supporting spoke pages. What this does is create a really dense, inescapable mesh of internal links that perfectly consolidates your topical authority. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly why it's highly recommended to map this out first. Build your entire silo architecture on paper before you ever touch a single link in your CMS. If you just jump right in and start aggressively adding links, you are inevitably going to create cross-contamination. That's where pages get linked from multiple totally unrelated clusters, which sends incredibly mixed signals to search engines. Yes, diagramming it out takes a couple of hours up front, but it will save you literally weeks of messy cleanup later. Part 5, cleaning up URL structures. All right, let's tackle the final leak, URL structure. Look, poor URL formats send absolutely zero topical signal. Your URLs strictly dictate how Google, and your users for that matter, understand your page hierarchy and relevance. If your CMS is automatically generating numeric post IDs like /post/12345, you are wasting a massive opportunity to tell search engines exactly what that page is about. Other common leaks, things like URLs over 115 characters because your category structures are just way too deep, or adding stop words like the or and, which are literally just filler, or using totally inconsistent formatting, like mixing hyphens and underscores across your site. It creates terrible canonical confusion. To fix it, you want to follow this specific migration blueprint. Export all your current URLs and analyze the problems. Then carefully plan out a comprehensive map linking your old URLs to your clean, new ones. Set and enforce strict standards going forward. But listen, the absolute most important step is the final one. You must implement your 301 redirects, update your internal links, and update your XML sitemaps simultaneously. All at once. Never, ever do this in stages. So, the crucial point is to never change working URLs without a complete, thoroughly tested migration plan. A partial migration, where maybe some links point to the old URLs and some redirects aren't mapped properly, that actually creates significantly worse problems than the original bad URL structure did in the first place. It causes severe index confusion and completely burns through your crawl budget. Get the plan 100% finished before you touch a single thing in production. And finally, part 6, the authority payoff. Bringing all of these architectural pillars together actually takes surprisingly little effort on your part. You just need Screaming Frog for your audits, which takes maybe 2 to 3 hours tops. You use Ahrefs or SEMrush to double-check your rankings before you change anything, and then you use Google's Search Console for your ongoing monitoring. The time investment here is incredibly minimal compared to the massive, massive ranking payoff you get from simply organizing the authority you already have. Which brings us to a final pretty provocative question. Are you ready to stop blindly building new external links and finally start plugging the leaks in your own foundation? The authority is already right there, just waiting to be unleashed. Take a few hours this week, pull up your site architecture, and start fixing your plumbing. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and happy auditing.